Nerd alert, dork face.
I am not a loser. I just have a bad haircut.
Kind of a major dork.
Oh, nerds.
If you're into science, tech, or unique hobbies, you're listening to the right show. On Get Nerdy With It, we interview nerds talking about their passions. This is Get Nerdy With It.
Welcome to Get Nerdy With It, episode number 43, recorded on Thursday, June 19th, 2014. I am your host, Jennifer Ruggiero, and we have an awesome panel with us tonight. One of our wonderful co-hosts who is, I guess, always on the go. And where are you these days, Andrew? You are Andrew Nelson. You are in the Air Force, so you are not, I guess you're deployed at the moment, so you're not at your typical office or home office. And but where are you again?
Unfortunately, still stuck in Texas.
Texas.
I'm still struggling with the old cell phone, so hopefully the connection stays together.
Yeah.
I understand we're having a little bit of audio difficulty, but I'm hanging in there.
Well,
we'll edit this and tell everyone you're at a nuclear sub in the bottom of the Pacific, and then it's going to make perfect sense.
Yeah, that would sound way cooler. You know what? Just delete everything that I've said already. So, hey, Jennifer, yeah, I'm on a nuclear sub in the middle of the Pacific Ocean right now.
Because the Air Force has subs right now.
Absolutely. You know, the Navy has aircraft, so why not?
I love
Welcome to Get Nerdy With It.
I love it. And that voice is from our other co-host, Christopher Gagnon, who's actually in my living room right now as we record this. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Jennifer. This is very far from the nuclear sub at the bottom of the Pacific. Beautiful living room. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that it's cozy enough in there for you, and it's and comfortable. Feel free to help yourself to anything in the house there. So.
Okay. Well, in front of me is a box of about 32 remote controls and video game controllers. So if I'm not paying attention tonight, you'll know what's going on.
This is true. So pay attention, definitely. I'll send Leo out there to keep an eye on you.
Sounds good.
And then on the other side of town, actually, he lives here in Greensboro with us. My friend, happy to call him my friend, Mr. Gerard Truesdale, and he's a fellow techie as well. So, hey, Gerard.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for allowing me to come on the show as a guest.
Oh, anytime. I was really, really happy to be able to get you on. So, you and I have some great conversations about tech, and it's just you'd be a natural fit to come on the show. So, and also I'm really curious to learn about your nonprofit as well.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Well, first I figured that we might as well just get right into the news, and then after that we'll talk with you about your nonprofit. So, if that sounds good with everyone, shall we get into the news?
Sounds
Let's
good.
do it.
All right. So, I'll go first with the first story. And this is just about an app that I found that was pretty interesting. It is an app called First Derm. And it is something that allows you to take a picture of your skin and you submit it to a doctor online for a diagnosis. So they launched in Sweden in 2009, and they worked with a bunch of dermatologists to be able to determine what any rash, a bump, or a wart, or something like a mole looked like. And this First Term team rebranded this app to be able to detect, like I said, what kind of ailments there are on your skin. So if you have any type of ailment on your skin, you can actually take a picture of it and submit it to the website or submit it to the app, and somebody will come back with a to tell you basically what it is within 24 hours. There is a fee for it, and they do say that it costs a little bit more than what you might pay for a copay if you have an insurance policy, but you are saving a lot of time in the doctor's office, and you also have some anonymity, and that might be something that you're interested in. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to go to the doctor, you don't want to waste the time and go to the doctor, you just want to take a picture and know whether or not what you have is something that you should be concerned about or if it's totally natural, this app will assist you in doing that. So I thought it was interesting. They've had over 10,000 downloads and over 1,000 case diagnostics since it actually launched in January. So if anyone is interested and they have any skin conditions, you can check that out. It's First Derm. So would you guys use this? Would you all use something like this if you had some ailment on your skin, or would you prefer to go to an actual doctor? Let me ask Gerard, because your dad's a doctor. So what do you say?
I don't know. It all depends on the severity of it, I guess. If it, I'm me being me, I probably just try it and see what they say and go see a doctor just to see if it matches up,
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, several opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like an interesting app.
Yeah, definitely. Andrew, how about you? Would you use something like this?
Personally, I would not, just because when I'm back home in Vermont, my doctor is literally right across the street from me.
Oh, nice.
And when I'm in a situation like this, obviously we have a medical unit right on base here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to worry about it.
So you don't really need to.
However, I do think it's a good idea because, with my professional medical knowledge, I feel like skin conditions are really something that you just need to look at. And, it sounds sort of like a paid, more accurate version of WebMD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's really convenient in that fact. And, I guess there might be some specific situations where you might need some sort of way to gather information other than just by looking at it. But for the most part, skin conditions, really, it's on the surface. So it seems like it could be fairly accurate in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only $40 to do something like this, too, so it's not too expensive. What's your thought on it, Chris?
Well, actually, of course, there's, it's the privacy aspect of it is what interests me because, what I've found is lately is, that your medical records become something that's not fragmented like it used to be. So, if you happen to mention to a doctor that you used to smoke years ago, in 5 years, that could influence your insurance premiums, for example.
Right.
So these things, your medical record has become very much a complete kind of body of something that's going to follow you around. So the fact, and even no matter where you go, if it's emergency care or wherever, they're going to tie that to you, even if you don't use your insurance. So I think that what would be cool about this is, the end factor of it, where it could be something that you just want to have. And I do think that this is I hate to say a surface diagnosis, but it's just something to give you an idea. But without having to go onto your permanent record, I think it's neat. Or, what if it's an STD? It could be something that's embarrassing. You don't want to talk to someone. So, I think that anything that crosses that barrier to get people embarrassed about their about any medical condition is good. I have my doubts as to the efficacy of the diagnosis, I think, but it would be good to get a first look at something.
Yeah, definitely.
I clicked on the link there that lists all the things. And there's there's hundreds of things really that they could identify. So
there are,
and that's the thing that I think most people are really embarrassed by skin conditions, like other than any other medical condition. Obviously, it's something that everybody sees. So it's like you're walking around, you got a billboard of yourself just presented to everybody, and that's what everybody sees. So it does seem like that would be a good way to maybe put a veil over something that people are uncomfortable showing to other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So if you want to be anonymous, and just, I guess that would be one way around it, really, for it to not be linked to your medical record. So, yeah, it's interesting. I kind of like these kinds of things where, because people are kind of, I'll always go look, let me check online and see what this is. Oh, wait, what's this condition? Let me check this out. And I think everyone does that now. But if you could actually share something with an MD via an app and have it be anonymous and just kind of like, hey, what do you think? That I think it's helpful. I mean, $40, not too much.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so I have actually lost my place in our show notes as far as what we want to talk about in the next story. Oh, I have one more story, actually. This one is this one is coming from the dailydot.com, and it is about the fight to make DDoS attacks a legitimate form of protest. And so, for example, anyone who wanted to visit Brazil's official government website for the 2014 World Cup, well, they would actually see some images moving around and slogans. But then they actually got some silence where it says, server not found. And what happened was there was a DDoS attack on the World Cup site. And
what is a DDoS, Jen?
A DDoS is it's an attack that involves bombarding a website with many requests so that it actually slows down or it stops responding altogether. So if you want to take down a website, you're going to launch a DDoS attack, and that's DDoS. And it stands for Distributed Denial of Service Attack. And it's something that hackers, like Anonymous, for example, the famous hacking group, hacktivists is what they're called. They call themselves hacktivists. They get together and they cause this to happen. And it brings the websites down all together. So the reasoning behind what this particular denial of service attack was against the World Cup, they called it #OpHackingCup. And it was to protest the financial waste that's associated with the World Cup. So in a press release, they said, the online actions, just as the protests on the streets, are a part of the resistance against this model that has become so evident to ordain and disordain of this mega corporation, which FIFA is on this country. So, so it's unlike the protests on the streets, of course, but DDoS has never really been formally recognized as a form of free speech, and so it's also viewed by law enforcement as a serious cyber attack, and the perpetrators of such have faced heavy prison sentences as well. So now, here in the States, I think it's kind of accepted as a form of protest. When we look at as Anonymous, for example, and we see these sites coming down, we know it's somewhat a form of protest. But they're actually talking in, as far as recognizing these DDoS attacks as official forms of protest. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? If there's a DDoS attack, would you think that would be a valid form of protest? And Christopher, that's me. I keep on getting these Hangout messages. I'm trying to stop it. Chris just messaged me saying, who's getting these Hangout messages? And I'm not responding to any Hangout messages, but they're just coming through, and I am sorry.
The price of popularity.
I'm telling you what.
So when you say a form of protest, are you referring to it in a way of free speech, so this form of protest should be legal, or are you saying this is illegal, but it's still obviously a form of protest?
That it's protected protest speech. That would be.
They're actually comparing it to a virtual sit-in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the real argument, in my opinion, here would lie in, since the number one form of cybercrime nowadays is unauthorized access. Do you think that a DDoS attack qualifies as some sort of unauthorized access to their computer system, wherein you are not actually trying to use the website as it was meant to be intended, So would that constitute as being unauthorized?
That's a good question. I mean, because if you're right, they're not using the website as it's intended, but all they're doing is they're sending a ton of requests to it, which is going to crash the server and bring it down. They're not actually hacking into the
Clear
site.
hostile intent, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think that it should be done. I mean, I don't know.
I guess you could look at it from a sit-in perspective. I guess it's a valid form of a protest, sure, but definitely the Million Man March, stuff like that, caused problems for businesses and whatever. But I think it could be a form of protest, terrorism, or maybe even more. But it's just complicated in my opinion because it can involve money sometimes. It can involve private information like credit cards, or it can involve just basic use of service. So I guess it all depends on what the circumstance we're talking about. I guess you said the World Cup was what was going on here, and it could be a form of a protest in my opinion.
Yeah, that's sorry, I keep on hearing feedback. My apologies. No, I can see that. Yeah, you're right. I guess if you compare it to a sit-in, and it's tough. It's a tough call. When it comes into this tech world, and if you put up a site and you have something, and then all of a sudden someone takes it down, and I mean, should that be legal? Would it be illegal? I mean, I would want to punish somebody for taking down my website. So, I mean, what are your thoughts, Chris? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Andrew. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I'm curious to see what Chris thinks, because every time Chris speaks, I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's a great, that's a great idea. So, What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think that it is incredibly ironic that you would lead into to my comment with such a glowing recommendation, and I have nothing on this. It's kind of, I think it's a slippery slope where we start talking about ends and means. First of all, comparing it and saying that it's analogous in any way to a sit-in is kind of hyperbolic and is emotion. I mean, that's just trying to push all types of emotions because we want to naturally look back in the civil rights movement being such an important part of our history and say, right. Oh, well, yeah, well, then it should. But, I mean, when you really take it down, you have to look at how DDoS is perpetuated. So it's not – if you had 1 million people – so let me give you an example. If I had 1 million people try to log on at one time to the World Cup site or any site and take it down, that's 1 million people expressing their free speech to log on the site, even if we know that the point is to take that down. But DDoSing is not done like that. What it's often done is it's often done using botnets. You can actually rent out botnets to perform DDoS. I could DDoS anyone right now by being able, or anyone could DDoS anyone. You can go on and rent the space on a botnet and conduct distributed denial of service attacks. It starts to get botnets by definition are you're using pieces of people's computers, that are unaware that they're being used. So that in itself is illegal, obviously. I do think that an issue with this is they're prosecuting DDoS attacks under the CFAA, which is the Computer Fraud and what is it called? Abuse Act. And it's kind of, that's taking a machine gun to a water gun fight in a way, so that sentences for this. So if I go to the World Cup's headquarters and I spray paint an anarchy sign on the side, that's covered under a law that's going to be very specific to the act. Whereas the CFAA is a typical digital dinosaur act enacted by Congress that they can use to prosecute anything, and it's just wielding a club at someone. So, I mean, people can face very lengthy sentences for this. So it becomes very nuanced. And I think that the tendency is for us to look at who is DDoSing whom, and to make to say, oh, well, that was justified. That's not justified. I think that in general, my personal opinion is DDoSing is not. There's too many players in it. You've got pipelines, you've got providers of the dumb pipes that you're using, people's computers, servers, traffic. There's so many things involved, and and what I think Andrew touched on a minute ago, and Jennifer, you are actually affecting business. For instance, a great example I was just reading yesterday is that if you're going down the highway, okay, and you're exit 30, and I back up exit 30 because I'm DDoSing it, but I'm also backing up exits 29, 28, 27, 26 because of the traffic jam. So it's a really easy way to picture that. And so those are people who you're affecting who don't have anything to do with it, depending on the infrastructure. So I think that it's definitely something that I personally think should be outlawed. It's interesting. The Pentagon actually, there was they had made this program that was really easy to DDoS, and it's called FloodNet. And it was such an issue that the Pentagon created a tool against it, to where if you started up FloodNet, the Pentagon crashed your browser. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's very, it can be very dangerous for sure, and have a lot of unintended consequences.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting, Molly Sauter, she's the author of an upcoming book called The Coming Swarm, DDoS Attacks, Hacktivism, and Civil Disobedience. And she says, to quote her, "There are no public spaces online. Everything is owned by someone," and which is true. In that, it may appear that the internet is a free space, but in reality, each website is hosted on a physical server somewhere and is owned and run by a company. And she says, you don't have any speech rights on private property. You have whatever speech rights are enforced by the person who owns the property. So
very true.
Yeah. Well, it's
really
definitely
interesting angle.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying it's a really interesting angle. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, It really is. So it'll be interesting to continue to watch this. I guess in today's age of tech and everything is that this is how we communicate, this is how we do business, and that's just a way of really taking down business and stopping productivity and stopping so much from happening right in its tracks. So it is a serious issue, but let's move on to the next story. So I will turn it over to our guest first. Gerard, would you like, I know you had some BlackBerry news.
Yeah, sure. First, a little bit of news, I guess, was talking about, I don't know if anybody's been reading lately, but BlackBerry they're trying to redefine their business and their whole business model and structure in terms of being a, business consumer phone company. They're going back to their roots and being a business enterprise server, services, that kind of company. So about yesterday, I came across an article on crackberry.com and some today as well. It talked about two new phones coming out. Mm-hmm. They both have keyboards on them. I'm not sure, the BlackBerry Q10 that's out right now. Not a lot of people know about them because honestly, BlackBerry's kind of fallen off on this side of the hemisphere.
Yeah.
But the Q10 is currently what they offer with their new operating system, and they're trying to transition from that to it's called a BlackBerry Passport and BlackBerry Classic. Pretty much trying to streamline users from the old model to the new. Mm-hmm. The Classic's kind of similar to what's out right now in the fact that it has, the trackpad and the keyboard, but the screen's about 3.5, a little bit bigger. And then the what they call the Passport, it really looks kind of like a passport. It's got a pretty big screen and a keyboard which has touch capacitive features on it. You can scroll up and down a page by just moving your hand on the keyboard and some other things like that. So I just wanted to highlight them because they've been around since day one, and I think it's interesting how they are trying to maneuver their way and to the point that they're at right now. They almost really were bought out. They were offered up for sale for a little while. Nobody bought them. So ever since John Chen took over, I kind of like the way that they have been progressing. So I thought I would talk about them.
I'm so glad you did, because I know you're a huge BlackBerry fan. You're always saying, "I'm going back to my BlackBerry," and and you know, and I've been using BlackBerry since the beginning, and I see there's a little bit of an echo there. So I've been using BlackBerry since the very beginning. I remember having, you know, so many models, you know, throughout my many years while working in wireless. So as of right now, I don't use one. But I'm really excited to see these two models coming out. This Passport looks gorgeous. And from what I read is that right out of the gate, it's going to be able to have the Amazon App Store on it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's another addition. They signed a deal with Amazon to bring, I don't know the exact number, but a substantial amount of Android apps over to the BlackBerry, and not really in a ported form, but actually in a form built for the operating system. And you know, like I was on my Note 3. I used to tell you about it, Jen, all the time, on my Note 3 for about 8 or 9 months, and one of my friends who actually still works for BlackBerry gave me a good deal on the phone. They call it a Z30, and he was telling me how, you know, out the box you can pretty much download an Android APK and it'll play fine. And he was right. You know, this phone runs Android apps like it's nobody's business almost. And along with that comes the you know, security, of course, which you're really not really going to use unless you're hooked up to a server or, you know, their BES, what they call their enterprise server. But you know, I just like the way they're going. I want to try something different, and honestly, it's hard to explain why. I'm just more efficient. I get things done quicker on the BlackBerry. I'm still trying to figure out why or what's the reason, but it's just something about it.
Now, so you didn't officially move back then to the BlackBerry. You're not using your Note 3 at all anymore. So you definitely
I moved back.
Yeah, interesting. Now, didn't you say something about it was better for you to use it because you're in law? Are you finding it better?
Oh, that was my first day of, you know, I'm working at the district attorney's office right now, but when I was hooking my phone up to, I guess, their Wi-Fi network one day, I started getting all these weird emails from, they weren't even emails, they were like .txt files from some anonymous email address. It was weird.
And that was on your Android?
It was on my Note 3. It was me and about 2 other people who had, other person had a Galaxy and a Motorola X or something like that, but the iPhone people were fine, you know?
Interesting.
And, that occurred, and I said to myself, maybe now is a good time to just switch on over and have an ease of mind. But like I told you, you know, a few conversations ago, the Android, I just have a problem with the mail, you know, on the Galaxy Note. I know there's apps to replace it, but it was a lot of touch whiz and mail. It was just unorganized, in my opinion. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
I am here.
So,
go ahead.
I have a question. You said you work for a district attorney's office?
Yeah, I'm doing just finished my first year of law school, doing an internship in there.
Okay. Were you given a BlackBerry from the district that you're working for?
No, I just noticed that a few people had that phone.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, actually, the Air Force uses that as their sole provider. We give all of our officers BlackBerries for work-related purposes. So I was pretty interested in that. So that would have been funny if that lined up like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's interesting.
Do you know which model everybody gets? Or is it one of the newer ones, or?
I have no idea, unfortunately. I've
Okay.
never, I haven't seen them up close, but I do know anybody that gets paid anything that's worth anything in the Air Force gets a BlackBerry for work purposes.
Got you.
That's interesting. I love this new Passport. I'd love to give it a shot and try it out. Chris, do you see yourself using something like this? Maybe.
Absolutely not. I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I'll go. It's a device in search of a use. It's got a great display. It's 1440 by 1440 resolution, 4.5 inch screen. And I know that the BlackBerry keyboard is iconic, and there are, so many people that will never, that would always have that. I mean, I've seen I've seen add-ons for iPhones like BlackBerry keyboards and all types of things.
Yeah, that keyboard was out for a little while until they got sued.
Yeah. I think that the passport is I don't know if they're trying to do like a business class phablet. What they're trying to do. I think this coming back out with the BlackBerry Classic is interesting. I may be looking at it wrong because I think that BlackBerry is kind of pivoting back into an enterprise. And they had a good earnings call, financial earnings call of surprising news, and maybe John Chen's really gonna get them back into at least what'll be a very profitable niche in the enterprise market. And speaking also, it's what Andrew talked about. There's, for instance, with government, although BlackBerry, they keep their own servers. RIM keeps all their own servers. So there's been some instances like in Saudi Arabia and overseas where, they actually have to, governments have to really kind of work a little bit to get that from a privacy aspect, to get that information from them. They can't just tap into it and snoop everything. So I think that's why the U.S. government, I'm sure that's why the Air Force, Andrew, does that. And we all remember Barack Obama and his super duper BlackBerry that they souped up for him because he refused to give up a smartphone.
That's right.
So I think, but the passport is interesting. It's bigger than a Galaxy Note 3 a little bit, so it's certainly kind of blocky and square. It's in a different direction, but there may be an enterprise class customer that this is going to hit. It does have a touch screen. Gerard, it's interesting when we talk about the Android apps working on a BlackBerry now and how that's kind of going to work. That I think that the APKs, not all of them are going to be flawless right out of the box, but I think that it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be, however they're doing that. And I'm no expert, but I think that'll really increase the app ecosystem for them. There's no from a consumer standpoint. I mean, I don't know why anyone would go into a phone store and walk out with one.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Unless it's somebody who really wants a keyboard in their life, or maybe has an older BlackBerry and wants to migrate to something new. And really, the only people in that crowd would be maybe people like my dad's age or so. So there's no really, clear way you can predict what's going to happen with that device besides what's already been happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the Z3 was actually a really cool device, and I'm excited. I think that if you took this classic, I think that when you can take that iconic device and, it has the passport doesn't have the, the thumb mouse, and that is a highly technical term I just used, by the way. But, it doesn't have that. And this new classic does, that's coming out fiscal year 15, and I think that's going to be, if they could really put some cutting edge hardware behind it and really get some cool software, and they could sell a billion of those if they brought them back. I think, if T-Mobile brought back the Sidekick and souped it up and made it awesome, and people just love those iconic devices. If you really made them, if you made the underpinnings of them be cutting edge. So the passport, I'm a little confused about, but of course, I might not go buy one, but I'm gonna go play with one, see what it has to offer.
Definitely. I hope that it comes to all the main carriers, because I would love to have the opportunity to play with it. And
yeah,
definitely. Very cool. Good story. Good story. And Andrew, I think you had some news about some cyber attacks.
Yes, it's actually a very recurring theme. I'm sure everybody, at least here, has heard of it. I just thought I brought it up because we haven't talked about it on the show yet, and I'd like to know some people's opinions. This incident in particular was discovered by a California-based company called CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity firm in the United States. And they're accusing certain ex or current Chinese militants of performing cyber attacks against the United States. I guess the military group, which I know nothing about because I haven't done any research on them, but they're called Unit 61486. I don't know. Sounds kind of creepy to me. But so in essence, they're accusing the Chinese government of actually using their military to exploit United States computer systems by means of Adobe Reader and Microsoft Office, which are the two biggest suites that we use actually personally in the military for all of our operations.
Even all throughout corporate America. I mean, it's Office and Adobe,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see if, I mean, when you watch the news, as soon as one plane crash happens, all of a sudden, all the news companies or any sort of channel that broadcasts any sort of news is talking about plane crashes. So if there's a school shooting, everybody's talking about school shootings all of a sudden. But this has been going on for a while, so I'm curious to see, do you guys think this is a trend, or is this just something that the news likes to report because it's scandalous?
I think it... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it might be more of a trend. I think, as far as cyber attacks go, and in this kind of case where they're saying that China is using, or this group is using Office and Adobe, a lot of people, I'm wondering exactly how they're using it to get into the systems, if they're maybe doing it through, oh gosh, I don't even know what kind of exploits there could be, but I guess that would be the main way of doing it. And it's... if they want to spy, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. So,
Right.
But I'm wondering exactly what they're capturing with this. When they are kind of exploiting Office and Reader, if they're launching other, I guess, spyware perhaps on the systems, and then collecting that data and using that. I'm kind of curious just what they're capturing from this. But yeah, I think it's a trend. I don't think it's just a scandalous story and it's being reported. I think it's kind of that's where we are today.
Well, don't forget too, it's a different paradigm. When we talk about nation state actors and all that sort of thing, so China is obviously is made tremendous strides towards a free market, comparatively speaking, but I think it's hard for a lot of people in this country because there's so much separation between this, the state and private sector in many ways, and there's just not. So it's a very, all the like Huawei, I think is how you say it, or whatever. A lot of those big Chinese companies, their top executives are also top officials in the Communist Party, and so some of those companies are almost like state-owned companies. And what they've been able to do in the last 20 years is accelerate basically 50 years of natural industrial and technical evolution by stealing it. Mm-hmm. By stealing it.
Exactly.
And this isn't Flash Gagnon's opinion. I mean, this is widely known, widely accepted. So they've been able to jump, and that's just what they've done. I mean, I'm not gonna, certainly is not the most ethical way to do it, but they've leapfrogged decades of development and trillions of dollars of capital that they would have to spend otherwise in order to become competitive, in order to make those companies, those private / quasi-private state-owned companies, to be competitive. Don't forget that there was a large group of actual Chinese army, or a large group, a handful, I should say, or a couple handfuls of Chinese army officers that were actually indicted in federal court for espionage activities recently. And I think that we tend to think of that as they're hacking in to get nuclear secrets or something, and they're not. They're reverse engineering industrial technology and giving it
Does it make it any less hostile, though? I mean, yeah, they're hacking in. Maybe they're getting specs to our power plants. They're getting financial information from solar plants, things like that. Like, it's completely for their benefit. I mean, just snooping doesn't really harm us, but we know that there's been hundreds of hackers in the United States that have been prosecuted for just what they claim to be just looking around. That's what they like to do. That's a hobby of theirs. So is this really an international incident? Is there any sort of hostile intent behind this? Do you think it's prosecutable?
Well, yes, I do. And don't forget the United States changed their policy so that right now a nuclear response is considered a justifiable response to a cyber attack. That has been changed at the highest level of U.S. government policy. We're a company to launch a cyber attack on our power grid. We can, within our rules, policies, procedures, whatever you want to call it, we have now legitimized the nuclear response. So that should show you that can tell you right there how seriously people that know a lot more than we do about what's really going on take. Now, am I talking about they're getting into GE and Honeywell and trying to figure out how industrial controls work on a highly automated factory floor so that they can put the same thing in at one of their. I mean, I don't. That's not it. I'm talking about highly hostile, like again, power grid communications. But there's. I do think, Andrew. I think any of that. Economic sabotage is often the most hostile sort of sabotage, in my opinion, that there is, because when you disrupt that, you disrupt, lives on the most basic level.
I never knew about what you said about the nuclear, that we could respond via a nuclear attack based upon something like that. I had no idea. But I guess you're right. It's a huge, I mean, if they were to hack in and take down the power in the United States or of an entire city or whatever, it's, you can do a lot of harm by hacking in, so I guess that would make sense to respond to something like that. But wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to, hack into, I guess this company in question was called Solar World. It's one thing to hack into Solar World and look at their finances and see how a solar plant is run so that they could better run solar plants in their country. But if someone's snooping around in your systems, what's to say that they're not looking at, operational blueprints to see, hey, how can we put this solar plant down if we were ever going to, have some sort of invasion of America, we could turn off their power. So I guess if you look at it that way, there's really no way to determine exactly what they're looking at when they break into that system.
And, don't forget, we sent the worm over to Iran to shut their centrifuges down. I mean, it's all being played out. We're all doing it. It's all have the capability to be hostile depending on how it's deployed. What were you saying, Gerard?
No, I was just saying, as technology gets more and more advanced, all the stuff that binds us together, is at the same time is introducing more and more chaotic and dangerous, ways for things like this to happen. This huge network of nations, cyber attacks, it's basically it's a tragedy almost. It's just a terrible thing. And I remember I read one time where it was, I think, 2 billion cyber attacks a day in the United States.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, the figures are absolutely astounding, and the way actually, I'm at a school right now, I'm not actually doing like real operational work, and the way my instructor put it to me is, in previous times we had battlefields and people actually had to spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars to deploy troops to another country to attack another country. Nowadays, you're spending hundreds and just thousands of dollars, which is nothing compared to the millions and billions you were spending. And all you got to do is, push a few buttons, and you're causing catastrophic damage to another country. Just the accessibility of hostile action is exponentially easier nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something. You're exactly right. But and at the same time, though, let's think of it. Right, we're doing a lot of this. They're having all this hostile action or cyber attacks, but it's interesting if you really kind of think back hundreds of years ago, people were dying, right? So now we're doing this it's a whole different type of, I guess, attack and warfare, I guess. It's instead
Well,
of
remember,
actually-
Andrew, a couple weeks ago, I mean, that's the part of our defense budget that's seeing double-digit increases.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
should.
Absolutely. Like we talked about, I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It's the only defense budget that hasn't been cut.
Oh.
I mean, it's a clear indicator from the government that it's a huge threat. And even the lowest budget organizations, not even countries anymore, can just wage war on other countries. It's crazy.
Yeah. The ability, Chris, he's not laughing at you. The abilities
No,
are.
it's just Heard Bird is cracking me up.
I was going to say, did Giorgio escape?
He's trying, poor guy.
Oh gosh. Well, this is a good story. This is definitely a hot topic, and I don't think it will be going away anytime soon. I really, with the advance of technology, it's going to continue on, and even if we find something to help stop this today, there's always going to be something else, down the road. So, yeah, very interesting. And Chris, do you have any? I think I saw a few news stories that you had.
I do. I've got a couple to run through real quick. I've got three if we have time. I'll be quick. The first is something I've been following for a while. It's called D-Wave, then the D-Wave 2, and it's is kind of billed as a quantum computer, and so we could spend the rest of the show and probably the rest of our professional careers debating on what exactly that means and how that goes. But it was very exciting because it was it was it wasn't just an equation or a proof of concept. This company built this machine called D-Wave that was self-proclaimed quantum computer. One of the buyers of the computer was Google. NASA and NSA bought time on it. The only problem was, it's quite a large problem, is no one really knows what that means, quantum computing. We know what it means, but we're not sure really how to measure it. And so, ironically, I thought that this was what was so funny. So a study came out in October this past that said that they, provided stronger evidence that there's quantum effects actually happening that they thought. However, the journal Science ran a very comprehensive study on it and on its effects. And to make a very long story short, which I'm extraordinarily bad at, they were able to set up a baseline test, and they ran it on the D-Wave, and then they ran it on a large suite of computers. It was actually that they got from Microsoft. Microsoft has a huge division that has some very advanced computers called Microsoft Research. And what they found was that, yes, there is quantum effects happening within D-Wave, within the qubits, which is what it's called. However, it performed no better than the traditional computers. And I just laughed. I must have laughed for 5 or 10 minutes when I read this, because it was like, it failed by succeeding. So, yes, we've got a quantum computer. It's great. But what we didn't realize was that the results were going to be no better than what we had. So it kind of calls into question the whole premise of it. Now, like anything else, this is a very nuanced sort of thing, and there's a lot of things that they can do to make it faster and so forth and so on. But I mean, just what a letdown! It's like the Large Hadron Collider. They find the Higgs boson, and then it turns out it's a photon or something. I mean, it's just like we finally did it, and it's just the same thing we always had. So hopefully in the future, that we can kind of get it faster and get it working a little better. But I did think that it was kind of, I just envisioned in my mind, 1,000 computer engineers just all slapping their forehead like Homer Simpson when they read the results.
Probably a big right.
So I thought that was interesting. Has anybody been following this story or have any thoughts on it?
Well, I find it very interesting because you're right. It's what would a quantum computer do? I study quantum physics, and which is one of my favorite topics to study. But how could you build something like this? How do you know exactly what it's going to be doing? And but I say go for it, right? Just
yeah, go for it until you partner with Google and NASA and all these other people, and it just turns out to be a flop,
Yeah.
So.
No, but I have not been studying or following the story at all. So this is the first time I actually read about it. So thank you for bringing it up.
It's a cool story.
Yeah, definitely.
So another story that, and again, this is a much more where the rubber hits the road sort of thing. But I think we would be certainly remiss to have a technology show this week and not talk about the Fire phone from Amazon. And I think we'll need to be very 30,000 feet on it, because we could definitely devote a whole show to it. But it's really interesting. I think that Amazon, a lot of these companies have tried to make forays into the hardware world, and they've all failed. Amazon has succeeded with the Kindle beyond, their wildest expectations, I'm sure, no matter what they would say. And they've transformed retail on every level. They've something that I've studied quite a bit, and the long tail model of retail, something that didn't even exist. So Amazon said, we're not going to sell you 1,000,001 thing, we're going to sell you one of 1,000,000 things. And so that is how they've changed the landscape of retailing through that, and with Kindle and being able to create these extremely sophisticated, extremely purpose-built channels, of their content, of the things, not their content, but their products, which is content, to get you these things. We're talking about, they're distracting us with these drones. You're going to be able to get anything delivered to your house in 30 minutes. Of course, only if you live in San Francisco, like everything else cool in the world of technology.
Only if you live in San Francisco.
Only if
right?
Well, eventually maybe.
That's true, though.
But
it's always like that, yeah.
It is, but this is something that through the new Prime, I'm a Prime customer, and through the new Prime music streaming, instant video, and all these other things, they're really hammering this down. And I'm a fan. I don't know about this, the 3D thing, the head tracking. If you guys, so it's got 4 sensors on all corners of the phone, and not only is it tracking your head, and they got this. I'm looking at Jen's Xbox. I'm looking at her 360 motion detector up there, and they got a lot of that technology kind of from that jump started. But it's actually changing what's on the screen, so that when you move your head to the side, you're going to see further to the right in the screen. Of what's there. So envision that it's truly another landscape behind, and that your screen's a window, and as you move your head, you're going to see different perspectives into that window. I think that that is pretty gimmicky but cool, because I'm a geek. This thing called Firefly is what I think is the potential to be the biggest game changer. Google Goggles is probably one of my largest tech disappointments. Other people may have, other people may have jetpacks and hoverboards, but for me, Google goggles always held the premise, and it never works for me. I don't even use it anymore. I think it's good at translating things, but now there's other services and apps that are far better than that. But this Firefly is going to be always on. It's going to be listening. It's going to be looking through the front cameras, through the back cameras. It's going to be aware of where you are, what you're doing, and it's going to serve content and buying options to you based on that. There are some obvious privacy nightmares that we could go on about.
Conspiracy theorist nightmare.
Absolutely. But Google's already doing that. Remember, now on your desktop, you can say, "Okay, Google," and it's going to come. I mean, these things are already listening. Mm-hmm. They're already, when I go to check in on Facebook, it can identify the song you're listening to in the background. These are the very slivers of this technology they're letting us see and make it think. But I mean, your devices are constantly communicating back to you what's going on. That's why I have duct tape over the microphone on my laptop and over the camera on it. You can't do much about that on your phone, or your tablet. But I mean, they're going all in on this now, guys. They're saying, "Hey, visual search engine." So, and it's going to pull up products, UPC codes. It's going to know what's seen. I think that's really got a potential to be a huge game changer. And I'm a huge participant in the Amazon ecosystem because I've been anti-Apple for so long.
Yeah.
Even though I have a 5S now, but I was forced one. But so I've been a big participant in their ecosystem, and I think it's I'm going to go buy this phone. I'm going to go buy it next month. I'm excited about it, just to play with it. But I think I think that it's a huge thing this week. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about it.
For our listeners out there, I know I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got a quick question. It's put up on the AT&T network, I see, and it's $650. For anybody that's interested out there, does AT&T have a contract with Amazon that would lower that price if they were to start a new contract?
Yes, it's going to start at $199 with a contract. Andrew, I believe that this phone within 12 months will be free if you're an Amazon Prime customer, because they are going to win all that back based on content sales and product sales. I believe that this phone will be free. I think that this is just a test. I'm stupid. I'm going to go pay $199 for it from AT&T because I can't wait. But eventually, this is the sort of thing. So if it's $199, we know that Amazon, it's going to be free. AT&T is going to charge you monthly, and Amazon's going to make it all back. It's going to be a huge winner for them. But to answer your question, yes.
It looks like a marketing missile right here. This thing is impactful of Amazon customer loyalty things, and I mean, just the way it's integrated with all the Amazon, Amazon Prime Instant Video, Amazon searching for products on actual Amazon.com to purchase. I mean, it's all completely integrated. I mean, it's going to make money for them.
Yeah. They execute this better than anyone else. This particular sort of move. Go ahead, Gerard.
I was just going to say, I think it's cool just to have another phone in the ecosystem with something different, kind of coming out with their own little piece here. And if you're an Amazon user, which it sounds like some of you are, I am. It's going to be easy to get music, easy to make orders, easy to watch movies now. And I don't know, I'm not too familiar with their latest streaming device. What's it called? The similar to the Roku, but it's Amazon. Is it the
the Fire TV?
Yeah, the Fire TV.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's probably a way. It's already a way for them to link up together and work simultaneously. But I'm excited about that phone. I'm going to hold off and see what other people say about it before trying to grab one. But I think it's going to be a good addition to the rest of the phones out there and attract a certain crowd as well.
I think it's great.
I'm just impressed. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sorry, I've interrupted you twice already.
That's okay. No, I was just going to say, I think it really says something for Android for
Yes.
it to be still, open enough to allow for Amazon to create, a nice, good phone. We haven't personally played with it yet, but a phone that does so much, and to build it off the Android system, so that's really nice that they're using, an AOSP version of Android, making something like this and making their own Fire OS is what they're making. Fire OS.
Yeah, that's a nice design. I like the design on it too.
Yeah.
And Amazon's fork of Android they're really getting it polished.
Mm-hmm. They really are.
With the Kindle, with the Fire, what they're doing. Of course, my thing right off the gate is going to be, can I root it? Can I hack it?
Yeah, can you hack it? Exactly. So one other thing is I noticed that they're giving a free year of Amazon Prime service with this as well, which is nice. So that's another $99 value.
Yeah,
and
Is it really that expensive?
Yeah, $99 for. Well, it depends. If you're a student, you can get a cheaper rate plan for your Prime membership. But
I was going to say, I think that was one of those annoying things I was talking to you the other day that I have direct debited from my account. I didn't even realize it was that expensive.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. That's how I re-up this year, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. I hate it when it does that.
Oh, okay. $100 debit. That's nice to know. Well, at least I'm good for a year now.
Has anyone tried the new Prime Music? Because, I have the app already on one of my Android tablets, and so I've been kind of enjoying that. It's, it doesn't have everything under the sun. There's a few labels that aren't available, but it's nice that they actually offer the Prime Music now. Have you guys checked that out yet?
I've taken a look at it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, I've been a real proponent of Google Music. I'm still kind of fascinated with that, so I haven't really branched out as much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
Jen, are we still not got him on the Spotify?
No, he hasn't.
Oh my!
I still have not,
made the switch.
but when I did, I just purchased that Moto X through your program there, and I did check the box that said 6 months of Spotify free, so now I'm kind of forced into it.
Yeah, I noticed that. He's getting through Sprint. He's getting 6 months of free Spotify, and then after that, it's going to be on sale for only $7.99 a month, which is cheaper than.
And after that, I'll hopefully be hooked on it, so you guys will win.
Oh gosh, it's the best, the best. But no, I wish that this were open to all carriers. But I know that Amazon does use AT&T for their connectivity for their Kindles, so I guess that's why they struck a deal with AT&T, but I would really love to see it open to all carriers, so, but that's just me. Actually, that's probably a lot of people out there. Yeah. But.
So, real quick, I just want to touch on my last little news story, and we won't spend a lot of time on this. Has anyone heard of Yo?
Yo.
So
is it the app that the Yo app for Facebook?
That's the Yo app.
For iPhone.
It's cross-platform. I've got it on my Galaxy tab.
I had that app. I think I still have it. Yo, it just goes Yo.
It just goes Yo. That's all it does.
Yo.
But check this out. Yo. 50,000 active users. It was launched as a joke on April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. Users have sent over 4 million Yos to each other without ever having officially launched. They secured $1.2 million in funding.
Wow.
And it is, it amazes me. You've got Secret, Snapchat, Whisper, Slingshot. We'll talk about that later. All these things going on, and it's.
I know
what it is. It's a perfect example of how a user base has put context around something, around some bit of content. They put context around it, and they've changed the use case for it, and they've created a successful and useful business / app / technology that no one could have ever seen or actually on purpose done. And I think that it's fascinating and awesome.
It's really
and it's not just that it's stupid anymore. It's actually got some meaning, and people are using it now for certain things. So just wanted to bring that up. So the next stupid idea we have, guys, could be $1.2 million.
I love it.
You know why? Because he executed it. He did it.
Isn't that something?
And he didn't just talk about it. He put it out there, and he did it, and look what happened. So I think it's also a great object lesson for productivity.
No, I love it. No, you're right. That's because when I saw this app come out, I was like, yo. I was just, I didn't know you had it. Otherwise, I would have yo'd you. But, and I don't have it on the phone anymore, but it was addictive. It's like, it's just so stupid. Just yo. So if you guys haven't played with it yet, when you have the app, you just hit the button and it sends a yo to anybody else that you know that has the app. So on their phone, they'll audibly all of a sudden hear, yo. It's just so stupid. But it's fun, Are you installing it? Anyone?
Yeah, I just
It was the next Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
Stupidly simple app that makes millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that's a good point. 1.2 million all of a sudden, just like that. Wow. Good story.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it.
Yo, that's all I got.
Yo. So, Gerard.
Yep.
Let's hear about Crossroads.
Yeah, you started this Crossroads. So what's Crossroads?
Crossroads Pathways to Success is it's a educational based nonprofit. It's founded here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Basically, I went to college down in Atlanta. I attended Morehouse College, and while I was there, I used to do a lot of tutoring for high school students, and I kind of enjoyed that a lot and realized that maybe I had a talent for helping the youth. It was a bunch of high school. It was probably 3 boys and 2 girls who I tutored for a period of about a year and a half. And after college, I came back to North Carolina and went to grad school at North Carolina Central, where I my first master's in information science. And I was thinking I needed to do something on my free time because I was working for the dean on campus and taking classes. So I decided to start a nonprofit. I talked to my best friend. He lives in Charlotte. We grew up together. Called him and asked him if he would be willing to help me out with this, and he could be a co-founder. We could, start the business. And basically, what we did was contact high schools around Greensboro because the whole purpose of the organization was to help high school males, ages 14 through 17, 8th grade through 12th grade. And the high schools were very receptive at first. Page High School, Grimsley High School let us come into the auditorium and talk about
Pirates.
Yeah, talk about what we were doing. Dudley High School was a big help, and basically it works like this. It's a Saturday workshop twice a month, every other Saturday from about 12:30 to about 4:30. And we got about 13, 14 kids right now, and each Saturday is aimed at a different type of specialty or focus.
Now, how do the kids become a part of it? Do they just kind of show up, or do they have to apply?
Well, we pass out flyers in guidance counselors' offices and talk to principals. So some of the students have been recommended to us, and the others find out about it through word of mouth as well.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay.
So we have the Saturday workshops. Each workshop is aimed at a different goal to teach the students. For instance, like a few weeks ago, we had an etiquette workshop where we went to Harper's Restaurant and showed them what a business lunch was all about and how to, conduct yourself and all that. And things like that go a long way because some of the students in the program are used to being in that atmosphere. Some aren't at all. Maybe it was their first time being in that kind of restaurant. So our whole goal is to give them just experiences and provide them with scenarios that they might not necessarily get at home or at school. So we're going on year 5 now. We got our first grant last year from the Weaver Foundation. They've been supportive of us, and each Thanksgiving we do a clothing drive turkey drive where we link up with the Urban Ministry. We've been doing this for 5 years. It'll be the 5th year this year. We link up with the Urban Ministry and Salvation Army, and they give us a list of families because they have like a apartment complex that's sponsored by them where families who low income live. So they give us like a list of the names of the people over there who could really use some food or some condiments for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and we basically get the students to come to we have it at the, and first off, backing up, Providence is located at my church, Providence Baptist Church. It's not really associated with the church, but we use the church facility. They let us use it for free, luckily. Right. Full court gym, classroom with wireless Wi-Fi, so we're set. And but back to the Thanksgiving turkey drive, we have the students come in and we have boxes, and they get the boxes. The grocery store delivers like 50. We're trying to go for maybe 75, 100 turkeys this year. Nice. They deliver the turkeys, and we get the students to kind of compile the boxes with the turkey and 2 sides and cornbread and put the family's name and duct tape. It takes them a long time because that's a lot of turkeys. But then they come and pick them up and deliver them off. The Salvation Army does in the urban ministry. So that's a pretty big deal. You know, it makes the students feel like they did something before Thanksgiving to help somebody else, even if they weren't in a position to. And, you know, we're just trying to grow. You know, once I finish law school, I want to get a program that's court approved and help more students around here and continue to do my thing. So that's what Crossroads is all about. You know, we're all about giving back, and, you know, it's a free program. We don't charge anything. They come around 12:30. And we have the workshop for about an hour, and they go to the gym for another hour and play basketball or dodgeball, and then they come back to the classroom. We either watch a movie, or watch, you know, something that they want to watch, and we order food. And Domino's sponsors us, and Cookout and Stamey. So, you know, that works out pretty well. Yep.
So this is every other Saturday, and it's free. So how does someone become involved with it? We know the students learn, or they're recommended, but they learn about it from the school. Or do you take volunteers as well to help out? Or
oh yeah, plenty of my friends and people I know who've heard about the program have asked to volunteer, and it comes in handy because certain times on certain field trips we do need people to be there and just to supervise, and sometimes people even have, you know, something that they want to share, like technology wise or whatever. They're talking about this example. You guys can share something technology wise to the students one day if you want to. But, you know, we welcome anybody who comes in there to talk about whatever they want to talk about. You know, all this stuff about hacking going on. Some of those students were probably, you know, eyes would probably light up once they hear about what all can be done from a computer to another computer. So, you know, we welcome volunteers at all times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how awesome. I'm so impressed that you did this right out of school too, you know. I mean, to have the vision to do something like this at a young age like that, and to be doing it now for 5 years and have it be successful. So your partner, is that Arturo McKee?
Yeah, that's my best friend, Arturo McKee, yeah.
Shout out to him. Hey, Arturo.
Yeah. Shout out.
I'm a little interested in the specifics of how you guys help out the kids that are coming in here right out of high school. Because I mean, when I got right out of high school, I was all set. I was good to go with academics and things like that. Like, I knew what to expect in college classes. But when it came to applying to college, I was like, oh, holy crap! Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I was completely unfamiliar with with paperwork. I come back with like a stack of 50 pages, and I'm like, Mom, can you help me out here? I want to go to college. Like, so, and that's the first bullet that's on your list here, what we do. And I'm a little interested. Can you go more into details of how you help the kids that get into college and things like that?
Yeah, but all the way, because, you know, we believe in every student needs to have the opportunity to start a successful career path through advanced education. So in order to get to advanced education, you have to understand how it works in the first place. So like what you're talking about with a college application, we have a workshop usually in November-ish when students kind of are, you know, hopefully in the process of applying, if not almost done applying for college. But usually in November, that just talks about, you know, the whole college application. We show them one from A&T. We go through the whole financial aid. The financial aid part is really one of the trickiest parts because they don't even really know what a loan is, you know, what a Stafford loan or what loans they're even eligible for. So
I still don't, and I'm paying for them.
Right. Read through a whole college application, and then we kind of enhance that by bringing in this nice guy. He's the dean of students over at UNCG. He kind of comes in and lays down what's in that application, you know, to a level that they understand, you know, how to apply, what's going to happen when you apply, and what happened, you know, what you said, what you're paying for as well. And cap that off by a tour of local colleges, and it kind of brings the whole message down to earth to them.
And that's great too, because I mean, I struggled through that all through college. Like all 4 years that I was in college, I was signing up for all these loans. I had no idea what the hell I was putting my name on, and and I really wish I had a little more. None of my parents went to college, so I had no idea, and they tried to help, but I mean, God bless them. But we all of us didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, and I'm kind of paying for it right now.
Right. So our whole objective is, just to get them to a level where they understand on a basic level just what's going to happen when they go to college and what to expect, because we don't want anybody to be blindsided. It's happened. I wish I had somebody to sit me down back in the day and tell me that, but you can only help the youth, and hopefully they can help others and other future generations. That's what we're all about. And speaking of college, that's funny that you say that, because that was one of our sessions probably a few weeks ago, and the main thing about that was students understand how the difference in state funds versus going out of state and things like that. Just simple little small things. Some kid not understanding that going out of state is going to cost maybe $40,000 per year. Staying in state might cost you $20,000. So our whole goal is just to help them know the basics and how to go forward from there.
And that's a great topic. And too, let me just add real quick before somebody else jumps in, that I see one of your bullet points here is full basketball courts here, and you're really into fitness, getting the kids into fitness, and I think that's a great. That should be top of the priority for today's youth. Fitness is definitely extremely important.
Definitely fitness, and teaching them just working a regimen for the future that they can get started with early. We have having a Crossroads summer camp from July 29th through August the 1st, and basically at the summer camp, we're going to have all kinds of workshops, but the key thing is fitness. We have a guy from Prolific Park. He's coming out to work out with the guys for an hour and a half each day, show them basic workouts, push some of the guys to a different level, and just get them in a good habit of working out and knowing how to work out. So fitness, as well as, luckily the church has the full court gym, so we can utilize that, play basketball, even bring in referees sometimes, and it's fun.
Very cool.
Awesome.
I am just so impressed with this program. I love that you're doing this. This is fantastic. I wonder, have you had anybody else that has approached you to try to do what you're doing, but in neighboring towns?
Yeah, neighboring towns. Even in this town, a guy called me and said he wanted to start a non-profit for high school males, and he ended up starting one for middle school males. But I've talked with a few people before and given them advice on how to get started, how to get incorporated, the whole 501c3 incorporation thing, and making sure you're legitimate with the state before you start, with trying to help other people,
right.
as well as the key thing. And people ask this question all the time: why don't you help kids who do this, or why don't you help kids do that? And when you make your mission statement, you kind of know what your scope is, and that's pretty much what you tend to stick to. And a lot of people kind of get lost in that process and try to solve all the world's problems at the same time in one nonprofit, and that's a mistake that you can make early.
Yeah, that's very important.
That's
I
a great
agree.
point.
Yeah, just to make it more narrow and focused, and stick with that rather than, like you said, trying to help everyone and do. Yeah, you need to have that segmentation and keep focused like that. Yeah, awesome.
Right.
Do good at what you're good at.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, do you have any questions for Gerard?
I don't really, Gerard. I just want to really, communicate my admiration for doing this. I think that one thing that strikes me is, you're teaching these kids, how a lot. I think. Would you think that it's a fair statement, Gerard, to say that some of these kids don't have strong male role models in their life?
Yeah, that's sad. Sad to say. Probably about 75 or 80% of them don't.
So what you're doing is you're showing them how to be a successful man in the context of this city and this culture and in their experience. It's just, like I said, just want to communicate my admiration for it. Being also in the city, I would like to definitely talk with you about how I can help.
Okay.
So, maybe after the show, or we can communicate, and you can let me know how I can help if possible. I think that this is how we, can help ensure this next generation and to to know how. It's still their choice to be successful, but at least you're showing them how to do it. Technology trends in the 21st century, fitness, dressing for success, impression management, or media literacy. These are things that they don't teach in school, and that I just, again, I think is awesome.
Thanks, man.
Unfortunately, because I think you hit like all the cornerstones of success right here. So I mean, it's a pretty rough ultimatum that I just came to here. That high school, all these things that you bulleted out on the what we do, high school didn't really teach me that well.
Yeah, and that's our whole point. Just I know they go to school Monday through Friday, and then honestly think about it. If you were 15, 16, would you really want to wake up at be somewhere from 12 to 3 on a Saturday when you could really just be at home playing video games or something? And we give a lot of respect to the kids for coming out, their parents for bringing them, and in return, we want to just provide them with a free service where they can just enjoy. Learning about leadership, learning about skills for life, all like you said, the cornerstones for success. And
and here's the thing, Gerard. The thing that sticks out to me is you're making them be accountable. You're teaching them about accountability. I want to, for our listeners out there, if it's okay with you, can I go over your commitment?
Yeah.
So you have what's called a Crossroads commitment agreement that they have to sign. So I will remain professional and conduct myself in a professional manner. Okay. I will attend all Crossroads sessions. Understand if I miss 2 sessions, I will be removed. Of course, then you say that there are exceptions if you talk ahead of time. I'll complete all assignments. I understand if I'm given 2 verbal warnings. So you're not, I will be truthful. Number 5 is interesting. I'll be truthful with all Crossroads staff. I understand I can be removed if the staff feels that I am untruthful. I understand the failure to fulfill any of the responsibilities will be sufficient reason for my participation is to be terminated. And what's interesting about that, I think, is that you are providing that to them, but you're not shoving it down your throat. You're also you're having them sign this agreement, agree to be accountable, and holding them to that accountability. And I wonder if that almost in itself, because is almost as valuable as the rest of it. Because I can tell you, having dated a teacher in the school system in the last few years, there's almost no accountability in the school system for children anymore. It's the teacher's fault if they don't pass. They're teaching to test. The parents don't, we all know parenting is extremely difficult, and far be it from me to judge anyone's parenting abilities. However, there seems to be a lessening of accountability for children and teenagers. It's not their fault. They killed someone because of Slender Man. I mean, come on. It's a recent news article I referenced, but you're bringing this accountability to them. You're showing them, and so the kids that stay, they know what time it is. They know what they have to do, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. At the same time, that helps us keep things efficient, because some kids, if you have a weird, attendance record, or you start to just not show up ever, then we unfortunately have to ask you if you're either A, serious about coming here, or B, you have to go. And that's only happened one time, and just due to the kid getting in trouble. But other than that, for the most part, kids follow by it, and we've never had any problems, and hopefully we can continue on in the future just like that.
Absolutely, it's a program to make people bring out themselves, really. I mean, and the best way that I can relate this is, and I hate to be cliche, is through like junior ROTC in high school. It's a program that helps you bring out a better you. It organizes you. It makes you more professional. Teaches you how to dress. Teaches you everything. And I mean, it's not for everybody. And this is for the other people. This is real life. I mean, the contract that Chris was going over that he brought out. that's real life. It might sound harsh to some of the kids, but it's real life, and it's going to teach you how to perform as an adult, and I like it. This is great.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Well, I agree entirely. So like I said, I'm super impressed and excited to see that a resource like this is available in our town, and would hope that a lot of others follow suit and do that in other towns as well. So, we are running a little bit short on time. We're actually going over, and so we typically right now would do our pick of the week, but I'm going to omit that, if that's all right with you all, due to time. Yeah, which I'm sorry about that, but we'll bring it back next week. But we are running a little bit short. So now, Gerard, can you tell, so we were talking about Crossroads. Where would everyone be able to find Crossroads online or be able to connect with you online?
www.crossroadspts.org, and there's a contact us form that you can fill out or write whatever you want to write on there.
Okay, great. And if they wanted to follow you online, where would you recommend that?
You can follow me at Gerard Truesdale, my name, or you can follow Crossroads at Crossroads PTS.
Okay, excellent. We'll put those links in the show notes.
Okay.
And thank you for taking the time to talk with us tonight. It's been
no
really
problem.
fun.
Thanks for allowing me to come onto the show and see how you guys do. It's a lot of fun. Really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. I'd love to have you back on at some point, too, just to geek out and talk tech. So,
yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Gerard, and I'm going to get in contact with you about trying to help out with your program.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thanks a lot.
And where, Chris, since we were just speaking with you, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Flash Gagnon, FlashGagnonNSFW. In other words, that's not part of the Twitter handle, but is not safe for work. Or you can follow me at flashgagnon.com.
And Andrew, what about you, sir?
Best place, professionally public profile to get a hold of me is at my LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/Andrew Nels. That's NELS.
Okay.
And on my Twitter, if you tweet me, I will tweet back, but I do not tweet out publicly very often, and that is at twitter.com/thecobblecha. Say that if I lived in North Carolina, I would be unfortunately very far away from there. But this is my thing. I love what you're doing. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wish that you could be here to help them out with that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Maybe someday after I, get out of the military, I will move to North Carolina.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
You're always trying to talk me into move up north where you are, but maybe we can have you move down south.
It's been many years and I haven't succeeded yet, so I think I'll just give in and
and come down south.
Start making plans.
That'd be awesome. Well, for the website, or for us, you can find us, of course, at getnerdywithit.com. We also have a Facebook page. We're on Google+. We're on Twitter. We're on all the great spots. All of our links are on our website. Please check us out. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Podomatic, SoundCloud, Spreaker. We even have a new Android and iOS app, so please check that out. Yeah, we're everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, so definitely easy to hear us. So check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll talk with you next week. Thanks for listening.
No excuses. No excuses.
Thank you for listening to Get Nerdy With It. Join us each week as we interview nerds talking about their passions.
Oh, nerds.
And be sure to visit us at getnerdywithit.com.